Whether we are fully aware of it happening or not, as life goes on, we tend to collect stuff. Before we know it, our homes are brimming with just miscellaneous things everywhere. So, yes, some of those things are useful and important, but so much of it is just pointless and it simply causes frustration because it always feels messy. So, if there isn't enough space for everything to have a home, that means our drawers and our cupboards get too full to even close, and we start feeling like we don't have the skills to keep a tidy home. And that's just not how we were created. But if your house is messy, it might not have anything to do with your ability to keep a clean or tidy home. A tidy home does take intentional habits, but if our homes are overrun with stuff everywhere, it makes it very hard to keep up with it all. So there is that old breakup saying that it's so cheesy, but it's not you, it's me. And we're going to take a version of that so that we can break up with our junk and say, it's not you, it's your stuff. That's my corny line for the day. So, we're going to go into the episode and we're going to talk about how we can get rid of it. Are you ready to stop the chaos, the stress, the overwhelm that's filling your life? I'm Renee Matt, and together you and I are going to build simple routines that are going to change your life. When you put these habits into practice, you're going to be able to organize your life in a way where you can be there for your family, pay off your debt, save money, your house can stay organized, you don't have to stress about what's for dinner, and you still get time for yourself. So without further ado, let's get started. Welcome to the Routine Advantage Podcast. I just want to make sure that I make this very, very clear if it wasn't clear enough with my corny saying. But when you have so much stuff, it is likely not your fault if you cannot keep a tidy home. When we have so much stuff, it's just everywhere. And a lot of times it can feel really daunting to think about cleaning when there is just stuff everywhere. And when we can actually go through and simplify and get rid of things, whether you are recycling, throwing them in the trash, putting them in donations, all of those things are ways to get rid of things or giving them to people you know. If you have families that are in need of some clothes, then go ahead and bring them some clothes or toys, whatever it is. Maybe it's kitchen supplies for all those kids that are graduating, maybe they're getting apartments. Like, give them some stuff so they don't have to buy it and they can save some money and you can get rid of some of the stuff in your house too. So there's a lot of different ways that you can get rid of things, but that is one of the things that is so common. I feel like people say like it's just so hard to keep a clean house. And a lot of times it's just because they simply have too much stuff. So it's not you, it's your stuff. So we'll go through some 5 steps. Thought about 5 steps to creating a declutter plan so that we can get rid of the mess and make it easier to keep our houses and our homes clean, because ultimately like your home is a place where you want to relax. You don't want to be stressed when you're at home. You don't want to be thinking about all the things you didn't get to. You don't want to be like just feeling overwhelmed when you're home. You want your home to be a place where you can relax, and that's your haven. That's where you want to be comfortable, and you can't do that if you're stressed about all of the things that are around you and not being able to keep it clean. So when we get rid of that stuff, it makes it easier to keep it clean, and it makes your daily 7 home routine a whole heck of a lot faster, which is very handy. So it's all good things when we can just declutter and get rid of our junk. So, we're going to go through these 5 steps. Number one, you need to first figure out how much time you have to dedicate to decluttering. And this one is really important because we need to know exactly how much time you have and when you are planning to spend that time. Now, this is going to look very different for different people because we have listeners from all over the world. We have just under 100 different countries that are listening to the podcast. And I think there's only like 195 countries in the world. So we have a broad range of listeners. And that is super exciting. But that also means that we have a lot of different lifestyles and different cultures and everything. So, what you are doing in your daily life is very different than somebody else that is listening to this podcast. So, what you need to first do is just figure out how much time you have to dedicate and when you're going to be doing it. So, for instance, one person might be dedicating 10 minutes every morning while their morning coffee or tea is brewing. Maybe another person is going to do 30 minutes in the afternoon while their babies are napping. Maybe somebody else thinks that they don't have any time to dedicate through the week and they are planning to doing, 2 hours every other Saturday. You have to determine what is working for you or what would work for you. And this can be a range of time too. So maybe it is, every Saturday for 2 hours for 2 months, or maybe it is 30 minutes every Friday for the whole year. Like you have to determine what works best for you, but deciding that right away will help you for the next steps in this plan. So figure out how much time you have to dedicate to decluttering and when you are going to actually take that time. The second step is to determine which rooms of the house need to be decluttered. So, this is more of a broad picture that you're thinking through. So, you want to just write down the rooms of the house that you don't want to forget. So, think from one end of the house to the other. So, start at one end and go literally room by room. Like, do you think there's any decluttering that needs to happen in this room? You don't have to go into any detail right now, nothing like that. Just write down the room so that we can come back to that later. So if it is, starting at your entryway, if you feel like things need to be decluttered in your entryway, then write down entryway. If it moves into your living room and you feel like things need to be tackled in there, just write down living room. And you might end up writing down every room of the house. Or you just might end up writing down a few rooms of the house or just skipping a couple. Like it's totally up to you and your thoughts around what needs to be tackled and decluttered in your home. But literally start at one end of the house and just think through room by room and write down just the rooms that need to be focused on. Once you do that, we're going to go to step 3 because now that we have our room list, now we're going to start at the top and we're going to visualize each room. Or if you're actually doing this at home, you could totally go to that room and work through space by space. But if you're not at home, then kind of close your eyes and visualize and think about your room and what actually needs to be decluttered in that room. So you're going to take your list and now you're going to start adding and writing down each space in the room that needs decluttering. So we're not just going to tackle the whole room as a whole. We're actually going to break it down into little chunks. And this makes it so much easier to make decluttering less of a chore or less daunting because we're breaking it down into like more little bite-sized pieces. So start with the first room on your list and then visualize or go to that room and start writing down each space. So really think about like small sections. So if it's a drawer, maybe it's a cupboard, maybe it's a cabinet, a bookshelf, closet, a dresser, some end tables, all of those different areas. Think of the spaces in that room that need to be decluttered and just write them underneath that room. And then you're going to go to the next room and you're going to write the list in that room. So it might not be, like I said, every space in the room. You might pick out only a couple of areas that it's like, these are the areas that really need to be decluttered. And the others feel like they are tidy and, well kept and well organized. So really just kind of go through. You might also find that you have a lot of spaces that you feel like need to be decluttered. And that's okay too. You're just writing down your full list and getting a good idea of what actually needs to be done and what you feel like needs to be done to be able to live comfortably in your home. So go through this room by room through the whole house and start writing down those individual spaces that need to be tackled. Once you do this, you may have a very long list, and that is okay. So then we're going to move to number 4. This is step 4. And this is time to prioritize and sort your list. And this one might feel a little bit overwhelming, but what you're going to do is you're just going to take a little time and it's going to be okay. Just take a fresh new piece of paper if you need to, and you're going to just scan your list and start with the most important thing, the one that bothers you the most. So let's say you are in the bathroom and your linen closet in your bathroom is so full and the towels are so stuffed in there with all of the other toiletries that you have clean towels falling on the floor every time you open the linen closet. That might be something that bothers you a lot and might be at the top of your list. Otherwise, you might be somebody that keeps your bathroom very tidy and organized, and your bathroom doesn't need to have the linen closet decluttered right away. Maybe there's a pile of mail and paperwork and just gadgets and trinkets that have piled up on your kitchen counter that make you feel exhausted every time you see it when you walk into the kitchen. That might be something that you want to tackle first. And if you are doing this, you want to just start with organizing your list by taking those priorities, the ones that bother you the most, put them at the top of this new list and cross them off of the old list and just go through one by one and switch them over to your new list by order of importance. What is the highest priority for you to declutter first versus what is the lowest priority, and just reorganize them on your new list by order of priority. Once you do this, and oh, I should note too, while you're doing this, it doesn't have to be in the same room. So you don't have to do all of your bathroom declutter areas in one section and then move on to something else. You could totally have that linen closet as the top priority on your list. And then, down on task 20 could be the vanity in the bathroom. That's definitely an option. You just need to organize it by your preferences. So don't feel like you need to do a whole room all at the same time. You can definitely break these up, and that's one of the benefits of doing this way is you can really break it up into smaller chunks where it makes it feel a little bit more doable and not one big daunting task to go declutter an entire room at once, especially if you have a lot of stuff. So once you do this, then you're going to move to the fifth and final step. And that means that when it comes time for you to declutter, because we've already decided when you are doing that and how much time you have to declutter. So when it comes time for you to do that, you can start at the top of your list, of your priority list. And what you're going to do is you're just going to accomplish as many of those as you can in the time frame that you've already set. So you are going to just check them off as you complete them and you get through as many as you can until your next time. So when you're doing this, you can actually use, I do have a method of simple 4-step method to declutter and organize any space back on episode 43. So if you have no idea where to start when it comes to decluttering, go back and listen to that episode. That might help you a lot. But when you are doing this, so let's say you are doing that 10 minutes while your coffee is brewing, you grab your prioritized list and you go and you start at the top, the highest one that hasn't been completed, and you start at the top and you go and you declutter that small space. Because remember, we have it broken down into very small areas. So it's easier to tackle one of them if you have a short amount of time, or a few of them if you have a little bit more time, rather than saying, I need to declutter the entryway. It's like that would be really hard to get done in a 10-minute time frame while you're brewing coffee. But if you have, like, I just need to organize the it's not winter right now here in Minnesota, but let's say it was you have all of your hats and mittens and you need to organize those in the entryway, it's a lot easier to look at your list and have 10 minutes while your coffee is brewing to have your list say organize hats and mittens and just go and grab that basket, sort them out, see which ones need to be staying or put away for the season, depending on the time frame, or which ones need to go into the donation, which ones need to just be recycled because they are, well past their prime. All of those things that can get accomplished in that 10-minute time frame, and then you've got something checked off your list. And then on your next day when you have another 10-minute time block while your coffee's brewing, you go to the next thing on your list and you just keep tackling these things. But if you set aside, 2 hours on a Saturday, then you can probably hammer out a lot of those items on the list and just get through a big chunk until you have your next time block. And that's a really like easy and fun way of getting through all of those declutter areas that you need to get, organized and get rid of the mess and be able to do it in a way that doesn't feel overwhelming because we don't want this to feel daunting. We want it to feel encouraging and helpful so that you can get that stuff out of your home and feel like you can relax much better. So, also consider saving a copy of your declutter task list once you create it before you start checking all those items off. Consider like making a copy of it, whether it is, in a spreadsheet or you just wrote it all down, like bring it to your printer and make a copy of it so that you can actually use this either, maybe you use it annually and you just work your way through this list all year long and then you just repeat it again the next year. Maybe you just have this as like a spring declutter list or a fall declutter list, however it works in your home. Make a copy of it so you don't have to do all of this work from scratch later. Like once you have it done and you've gone through the work, if anything else comes up, you can just add it later and it makes it super easy. And then you are, utilizing your time well. So, a really quick recap of those 5 steps to create your declutter plan to get rid of your mess and get rid of your stuff and start to feel like you can relax and keep that tidy home. Number one, figure out how much time you need or you have to dedicate to decluttering and when you are going to do it. Some ideas again were 10 minutes while your coffee is brewing each morning, 30 minutes in the afternoon while your babies are napping if you need to, and maybe it's 2 hours every other Saturday. Those are just some ideas to play around with. You need to determine what time frame works best for you and what days work for you. Number 2, determine which rooms of the house need to be decluttered first. Think from one end of the house to the other and just write your room list first. Step 3 is now that you have that room list, we're going to start with the first room and you're going to create another list that has a little bit more detail. So you're going to visualize each room or go to it if you are home and start creating a more detailed list of each space in that room that needs to be decluttered. Think drawers, cupboards, cabinets, shelves, closets, dressers, tables, any of those things, any space in that room, break it down into smaller chunks. And then once you have it done for one room, go to the next room on your list and so on until all of those are done. Then you're going to move to step 4. And now you are going to take a nice fresh list and you're going to prioritize your list and sort them by putting the most important areas to declutter at the top, the ones that are most important to you to get done first. Put them at the top and check them off of your current list, and then go all the way through prioritizing which ones are most important to you. So at the end, you have a nice fresh list that has your highest priorities at the top and your lowest priorities at the bottom. At that point, you will move on to step 5, and this is where it comes time for you to actually do the decluttering action. So, when you come time to have your dedicated time you've already planned out, grab your list and start tackling the highest priority first. Once that is done, like again, you can use episode 43 to help you work through each of these spaces. But once the first one is done, check it off and move to the next one and just continue on to your list as quickly as you can, moving through each of these spaces in the time frame you've already dedicated in step 1. Once you are done with that time frame, then you put your list away until the next time, and then you pull it out and you tackle the next ones on your list. And you just get through these as quickly as you can, as many as you can in the time frame that you have set up, and until you accomplish your full list. And at that point, you will have a fully decluttered home without the stress of feeling like you had to do it all at once. And now you have more space and enjoyment in your home, and it's easier to keep it clean and tidy, which is the best benefit of all. So, hopefully, this will help you go through and be able to get a handle on all of that stuff and to simplify your home so that you have an easier time of keeping it clean and tidy and a place where you can truly relax and enjoy your space. And if you found this helpful, I would love to see your progress. If you want to take before and after pictures of your declutter spaces, I would love to see them and encourage you, especially if you have a long list to go through. Like, we will encourage you all the way through it. You can come and join us in our free Facebook community. It's facebook.com/groups/the Routine Advantage community. Come and post your before and after declutter pictures in there, and we will cheer you on and encourage you to keep going so that you can get through your whole list and it can actually be kind of fun. So I hope I will see you in there, and otherwise, I will see you on the next episode. Did you love that episode or learn something useful? If so, would you do me a huge favor? My goal is to grow this podcast and help as many women as I can break free from the overwhelm so they can truly enjoy their life. The best way for me to do this is for you to leave a 5-star written review on your podcast app and to share this episode with a friend or in your Instagram stories. I appreciate you being here. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you on the next episode. Take care.